Vamos bien viendo the Totally Blitz podcast. We finna talk Noche UFC recap today, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, go down, like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts on this card. Comment your thoughts on the draw. And these are your hosts. I'm Paul Pick'em Win'em Concha, and I'm joined with
a shook motherfucker. Like, see, bro, if you don't know the podcast, right, a lot of people might not know Paul is Mexican. Paul's half Mexican, right? So, like, that's the most Spanish I've heard him see in his life. And I knew Paul when he was taking Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. So, like, that's the most Spanish I've heard Paul say. That was fine. That boy snapped, too. I bet you Paul be in New Mexico speaking full Spanish on motherfuckers and come back to Tampa just acting like everything's fine.
Ready for him.
Okay, but if you didn't know, I don't mind letting you know. It's your boy Kev, Waterboy Savoy, a.k.a. the Don P.Y.E., a.k.a. the Street Fighter Enthusiast, a.k.a. the motherfucker that was at the Gator game this weekend. Shout out the UF Gators, man. Them boys beat the shit out of number 11 ranked Tennessee, talking that shit. We were supposed to have my dog Mad Max MMA from Bourbon and Bud podcast. But them boys is live streaming the Contender Series right now, so he couldn't enjoy my fit. But don't worry, I'm going to send this clip to him. But Paul, Viva Mexico.
Viva Mexico.
This was supposed to be my favorite card of the year. You know how I love the Mexican fighters, the Mexican culture. I'm actually just putting a deposit to go to Mexico this summer on a study abroad trip at school. So I'm just like, how did I miss the Viva Noche card? But I was working the UF game. I was getting paid to work on the sideline. So it was kind of – I thought I was going to make it back in time for Kevin Holland and JDM, but I didn't get out that bitch till like 1:30.
You missed a good one. You missed a good one. But, yeah, shout out to my Mexican brothers and sisters. Born Mexicans went 4-1-1 on this card. If you count Tracy Cortez, American-Mexican, then they went 5-1-1. So a good showing for all the Mexican talent other than Padilla, but we'll get into
I'm mad that you had to add the if you count Tracy Cortez. You disrespectful, Palu.
But she's not technically Mexican. She's not Mexican born. So like she's American. She's like one of the only American Mexicans on this card.
Man, if her parents speak Spanish, they cook great tamales, and she reps the culture, she Mexican.
That's pretty true. That's pretty true.
But I was about to say, you're Mexican as fuck.
Like, yeah, no, I am, but like some of the Mexican. That's why I said Mexican born went 4-1-1 this weekend. Because that it's all about the flag they're coming out to nowadays. But I mean,
that's real. That's real. If you're not coming out to that flag, that's real.
But I mean, Tracy Cortez, we get started there. I mean, she had a good little showing. She got her little dub. But one of the bigger news is she got injured in that fight, and she's going to be out for a few weeks. I can't remember what exactly is the injury, but that girl, Tracy Cortez, got the dub. I want to say it was like something with her shoulder. Like she tore something in her shoulder, and she did it in like the first round. So she got a dub with only one shoulder, and she's like, that's why I fought the way I fought.
No rap cap. She definitely got the UD. Maybe if she didn't get hurt, she would have got the finish. But that's my baby, you feel me? Like Tracy Cortez is gonna do her thing every time. But it's interesting that you can because she just came off of such a big layoff and now she has an injury. Like, I feel like I thought she was gonna unleash some shit. She's 29 years old. I was really expecting her to start picking up some steam and going on a little run.
Yeah, and single too. If anyone didn't know, her and Ortega no longer a thing. It's been about like 3-4 months now.
You see how Paul be rubbing that in my face? Like, she over here, like, she's single for now.
Yeah, I'm teasing them. I'm teasing you at home. But, I mean, we can make our way down the line. Lupe Godinez, she got the submission win in the second round over Elise Reed. But, like, to be honest, she was the biggest favorite on the card, minus, like, 400. So, like, she should have got the dub and should have got the finish.
I heard Elise Reed. Before the submission that she tapped to, they had her like in an arm bar or something, and they explained it that her arm was her arm. Her arm was bent like this type shit, and they was saying like, yeah, I don't know what flexibility, what bone she's missing in her arm, but we should get that checked out.
We've been getting a lot of that this year, I feel like, and a little bit end of last year, where like Muhammad Mukayev, I feel like is the one that started the trend. Like his knee was legit like a U. Like there's just been people who I'm just like that. Like how do you train that? Like what are you what are you doing to make sure that like if you get caught in this submission, your bone won't break because that's not normal.
I think it's like the chin. Like a chin thing is like you can just practice sparring, but it kind of comes down to the heart at the same time. It's just like it's like Baki. Like you know how Baki that shit just that hormone just snaps in his head in his brain and he just starts. It's like that. Like you just have to let that. Like it's a Tony. We'll call it a Tony Ferguson gland. You got your Tony Ferguson gland just goes and you just thinking, nah, break it. You can break it home. I'm straight.
And someone who's wishing they had the Tony Ferguson gland. One of the only Mexican to lose on this card, Fernando Padilla loses to Kyle Nelson out of Canada, unanimous decision. And I mean, from round one, two, and three, maybe I gave round one to Padilla for sure. Round two and three, third rounds of coin toss, second round definitely Nelson. But like Padilla was this head on the fucking center line the whole time. He's just throwing these jabs, and Kyle Nelson's throwing these looping overhand shots, and he's not moving his head. So yeah, he's tagging him, but at the same time, he's getting caught with fucking overhands that are doing damage, and that the judges are looking at also like, oh, like he definitely won that exchange. Look what the fuck he landed. And I mean, Kyle Nelson was like 1-4 in his last few fights, and he usually gets knocked out. And Padilla was a moderate to big favorite on this fight. It just wasn't a good showing. Like all the other Mexican fighters showed up and did their thing. Padilla was kind of a shocker that he went out there and just like a stand up fight is his round. So for him to get out out struck on the feet to someone like Kyle Nelson who isn't really known for anything, it was just kind of like, oh, like maybe they missed on this prospect.
I mean, Kyle Nelson is what from what I'm hearing is that in his last fight he pulled up an upset win. This fight he pulled up an upset win, and he beat a Mexican-born fighter on UFC Noche. Like when he was really ready to come in and get his W. So Kyle Nelson might be a low-key demon. Like he might be like somebody that we're not talking about right
He was a parlay buster. That's what Kyle Nelson was. He busted
now.
everyone's parlay that had Padilla in them.
No, that shit is crazy. But Kyle Nelson, from what I'm hearing, I didn't see the fight. But from what I'm hearing, Kyle Nelson is that guy.
But I'm not gonna lie, us Mexicans didn't keep our head down too low because we followed up that fight with Daniel Zellhuber, who to me, out of everyone on this card, had the best showing. Like he went in there and dominated on the feet, and then got the like anaconda choke, locked in submission. It's like split second. Probably he knocks him down, and then looks at him, and then just jumps and like fucking. He looked like a Crocodile Dundee when he was sizing up to get the crocodile on the floor. I got my angle, got his ass, got it, and it also is locked in. Like 3 seconds later, he taps, fights over. And Giaglos is not a bad fighter, definitely got heavy hands and everything. But Zellhuber just, even though the numbers are even, Zellhuber was fucking him up. Like Zellhuber, to me, I think we left out of UFC Noche, like at least me, like oh shit, lightweight's got a hitter, 14-1 Daniel Zellhuber, who's also he's like 6'1". He's pretty big for lightweight also, and his takedown defense. Galacco's got like has really good wrestling, and Zellhuber was able to like not only defend every takedown, but literally make it look effortless. Like textbook, someone shoots, then he gets the underhook, and then he's turning his body and throwing it off of him. Like he was just doing everything textbook to stop the wrestling takedown, and then not only dominate on the feet, but then to finish it with the anaconda choke. I was like, holy shit, this man just did all. He hit all three categories in one fight. I was like, okay, this guy might be the truth.
I respect it, but we're low key skipping a fight. We skipping a fight.
Which one? Which one we skipping?
My dog Edgar Shairez versus Daniel Lacerda from Shootbox in the no contest.
Yeah, the one no contest of the fight.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, yo, bro, I know there was a there's controversy on this card for sure. You know, if Sal and this motherfucker, there's gonna be controversy. But this was a big deal because I guess Lacerda, Shout out my boy. He a real shoot box guy.
Wait,
You
this
feel
man
me?
was 0-4 in his like last four and got like knocked down all of them.
Oh, he's 0-4-1.
Yeah, 0-4. Actually, no contest. This never existed.
So yeah. So he definitely but he came into the UFC 11-1. So like it looked good when they got him. But that's crazy that it went down like that. So I guess from what I've been told, that Edgar Shair has got the she got the submission. Can't remember what submission it was per se, but Daniel Arceta just went out for like a second, right? He just went out, and then by the time the ref called the fight, immediately the fighter like was fine. He was like, oh shit, and it was like, damn, the ref might have called that bitch too early. So before my boy Lacera went motherfucking 0-5, the ref fucked it up, so they just had to call the no contest. How do you feel about that? Because we saw this like a month and a half, 2 months ago. I can't remember what fight, but how do you feel about this shit?
I don't think it should be overruled. Like you said, he went out for a split second. Like there was a moment where you are defenseless and no longer here with us anymore. But I mean, I I was just shocked it got overruled into a no contest. I thought they would have just kept it pushing.
Hell yeah! I mean, I don't know what to. I'm waiting. I'm watching the main card right now, but I'm gonna watch the prelims later. But I'm just think it's crazy that like that keeps happening. Like, I think I can understand why you can call it a no contest because it is the ref fucking up. That's just the best way to say the ref fucked up. But like now you kind of get stuck in the middle. Do you want to see this fight again, even though you know Edgar Shair probably would beat him? Like, do you want to see this fight again? What does it do? Like, no, do
They need
people who
just like how the NBA and NFL has started to they're speeding up the game where they're not taking 20 minutes to talk to New York and they get a decision and then all this. It's kind of like we're gonna need an answer in the next 45. We're going to commercial break for 45 seconds. And when we come back, we're gonna need an answer. And I think that's what UFC should do and copy from the other leagues because even like maybe if you can't come to a complete answer, then just continue to fight from where it's at. Just okay, we're fuck like we don't know for sure if this should be a fight should be over. If it's like the first round, y'all just continue where it's at. If it's or maybe like a sudden death round, like okay, well we not sure what to do. Sudden death, 1 round. Whoever wins this round's the winner. I don't know. There's something where at least the fighters have some, and then the fighters have to agree to it. Like, okay, yes, I'm willing to take that. Like, like something where something can be solved right then and there instead of no contest. This fight never happened, and then they don't have even have to pay the fighters. Oh, it was a no contest. We don't even have to pay you guys. Like it's just I don't know. They need to fix it. I don't know the exact fix, but there are definite pitches out there that are better than what I just gave. But it's something better than this. The no contest, keep it moving.
so here's my thing. I mean, I do feel like there could be a change. They could do something better about that. The extra round seems like that's a good into the motion, but the UFC doesn't give a fuck. Them boys is still getting paid, and as long as this doesn't happen to a main event fighter, especially for a championship, like nobody's gonna give a fuck until they lose money for it. Nobody's gonna give a fuck.
And to top it off, I don't think they'll. You just said it best. You said the main event fighter. I disagree because even if that happens to a main event fight, there's just so many. Like it's not like UFC back in the day where there's a UFC fight maybe every 2 months. Now there's a fight every week, so like it just gets swept under the rug. Like yeah, we'll be pissed off this Saturday because that happened on a main event, but they're not gonna do that. It'll be like by 2 weeks from now when there's two more cards that happen, we're not gonna care anymore. Like that's not gonna be so. Yeah, maybe they won't change anything.
They're not changing shit.
Then let's get into the co-main event. Oh, not co-main. Let's get into
I was about to say, what
Raul
about the
Rosas.
feature bout?
Yeah, Raul Rosas Jr. I like came back stronger than ever, getting the first round KO. Most people thought it would be a submission, but he ends up getting the knockout. And some people think it may have been a little early, but I don't think so. I think Raul was dominating. Mitchell definitely got fucking stiffed. He definitely got stiffed and then fell to the ground and then a couple follow up shots. I don't care if he came back to his senses. It was like The fight was over. He wasn't here for a second.
So shout out my young nigga, Raul Rosas. Shout out my young nigga. My young nigga grinding. My young niggas working. All my young niggas eating. But from what I've been told, Terrence Mitchell was like swinging from across the motherfucking way. Like he can't. It looked like the way he was fighting. He looked like he didn't come to get knocked out, but it's just like who the fuck was he fighting in Alaska to be like to come in this bitch 11-0 or like 11-1 or something like that.
Champion.
Yeah, like who the fuck was he fighting Alaska? Because this isn't it. I think they said he's 0-2 in UFC right now. He didn't have the best performance, and shout out that boy Raul Rosas. That's one of my young niggas. That boy really in that bitch doing it. Got the TKO. I wasn't ready for that. If you had told me he got a sub, I was about to say doing what he's supposed to be doing. But TKO, I wasn't ready for it. He got that shit done.
And he came in there, blitzed him out, struck him, pace everything, and then gets the heavy shot. And yeah, Mitchell 0-2 and both losses are first round KOs, so not a good look. Then
Yeah.
we got the split decision on the card. We got a split decision and a draw to get into. Kevin Holland losing to JDM 29-28, 28-29, 28-29 in favor of JDM. I mean, when you finished this fight, did you think Kevin Holland won, or were you not able to catch this one fully?
You see, if anybody's noticed, I keep turning my head like this. I was literally just watching the Kevin Holland and JDM fight, and I'm watching Shevchenko and Grasso warm up right now. But what I've seen, Kevin Holland came in with an interesting game plan. Definitely was getting them leg kicks in early, getting them bitches in immediately. You know, I like to see shit like that. Shout out my dog Alex. He loved them leg kicks. But I don't know. I think JDM put a lot of pressure, and like when it comes to like damage, like in the head hits, I can see how you could go with JDM.
That was my whole thing. It was yeah, Holland was landing a few more things, but like a lot of his shots were like very flimsy. Like they weren't really like they were just kind of like almost like showboating type of shot. They weren't really anything that was gonna damage, hurt, and like set him up for a victory. Whereas JDM didn't like, yeah, he talked shit back and forth here and there, but he didn't fall into the game plan of what Kevin Holland wanted to do. He's just stuck with what he does. And when he landed his shots, it was a lot more noticeable, in my opinion. So I agree. I think he should have won a unanimous decision. I don't think it really should have been split, but it was on paper a close fight. Just if you're just evaluating strikes landed and all that.
I was about to say, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I could agree with you in it being a UD, maybe all 29-28.
Yeah, I can see the 29-28s across the board. But I mean, I'm not upset. I'm just happy. Like if Holland would have won, I feel like we would have had a lot more people screaming robbery than what people were talking about when JDM won, because there were still a few talking about Holland was robbed, including Holland.
You said that?
He didn't say he was robbed, but he was just saying like, I just don't know like what the judges are seeing, but like that's not me. I'm not a judge, so on to the next. But you know, he didn't agree with it, but he didn't say he was robbed. He just didn't agree with the decision.
I can respect that. That's real nigga shit.
And in this one here, neither one of us made the wrong pick. It was a draw. Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. Grasso remains champion. 48-47, 47-48, and 47-47. I mean, this was a very hard fight to kind of determine who won, because Valentina definitely had the wrestling. She definitely had the control time, was on top a lot, doing damage. But then you had the Grasso knockdown, and Grasso was doing pretty damn well on the feet, and to get back to her feet in the earlier rounds when Valentina would land some takedowns. So, I mean, I'm not mad at the draw decision. I'm just mad that, I'm not a soccer fan for a reason. I just don't believe in this ties. Like, so I was just a little, it wasn't, I couldn't, there was no high. Like, there was no, like, climax because of the fact it ended in a draw. I was sitting there a little, like a little air deflated out of my balloon.
Valentina's such a sharp striker. When she's in the paint, she just looks so good. Yeah, that's just me thinking about my wife. I'm 2 minutes into the fight right now. But From what I've been told, that it could have went either way. A lot of people was giving Grasso 2, 4, and 5. It was just the 10 to 5, the fifth round being a 10-8. I think is wild. And I'm just gonna throw that out there. Saudi Amato is a person that didn't didn't give Grasso 2, 4, and 5. He only gave Grasso 2 and 5. I'm just saying, if Saudi Amato's not there, maybe we're not talking about this. Maybe it isn't a draw. But I do think that 10-8 is wild.
I mean, it's MMA judging. I feel like we don't say this at least once a month. We're sitting here talking about like I just don't know how we what we saw. Like and it just comes with this combat sports stuff and at least with like other sports nowadays, there's like a supreme referee that could come in and overrule what the other referee is talking some shit. Like like we just don't see that with MMA judging. So I mean, we can sit here and argue back and forth the dynamics of who won which round and like was it a very this round for sure is this person's, but like it's kind of hard to do that. I think at this point the rematch is necessary just because of how close it was. And yeah, the third fight, but the trilogy, and yeah, there are other fighters in this weight class that should probably be fighting for a belt really soon. But there's some unfinished business. I felt like leaving UFC Noche, there was unfinished business, similar to when Figueroa versus Moreno. Like, you would walk out of that fight just thinking like, all right, they need to run it back because I don't know who really won for real, or now it's tied or this and that. So I think we should. This is a fight where I am clamoring for. Let me see the third one. Definitely not in Kazakhstan. What Valentina talking about? Maybe just give it neutral ground. Put that bitch on Abu Dhabi or some shit or Brazil. I don't know.
I look at this shit like, well, they only come to Abu Dhabi in October, so unless them boys find the 21st. Do
Oh,
that.
yeah, no, not Abu Dhabi, but you know what I mean. Just somewhere where neither one technically is a home fighter.
I was about to say they should just do that in Vegas again.
Yeah,
But
but I mean, Vegas definitely had the Mexican back the supporters, so that's
yeah,
why Valentina doesn't want it in Vegas if they fight again.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I see why they said Valentino won the first round. Yeah, she definitely killed Grasso the whole first round, especially when she got that takedown and her striking was so superb. But I look at this fight like there's a lot of unfinished business, but then it also can kind of like help figure out that division because this division is getting lit really, really fast. Because you got Fury out, you got Blanchfield, who was in the motherfucking crowd. Because I want to say they're both ranked number 2, Fury out and Blanchfield.
Probably because they're both like they haven't fought each other and they both are on a very good win streak.
Because Fury out was number 2 before Fury out I think was number 1 before Shevchenko lost, and so Shevchenko went down. Fury out's number 2, but Erin Blanchfield is ranked number 2. I just saw on her record that she was number 2, and Fury out can't go down after her win against Talia. She didn't fight Talia Santos.
No, Rose.
She fought Rose, so you're not going down after being a former champion. So I don't know. This is interesting. I think you set up that number 1 contender, a real number 1 contender fight. They fight motherfucking the winner of hopefully Grasso wins. But they fight the winner of Grasso versus Shevchenko. But if Shevchenko wins, I feel like it's gonna be a lot of Grasso. Well, she got the rematch twice. Where my rematch at? But
Yeah,
like
that's true. That does open up that can of worms.
you might have to wait in line then, because like I'm sorry, you might have to wait in line because we want to see something else real quick. Even Moreno and Figgy, we saw something else real quick, and then they went back to that.
I mean, like I said, we're left now. I feel like a lot more questions than answers leaving Noche UFC, especially at the women's flyweight division.
How did you like their performances?
I think they both did really well. Like that was another good thing. Like for that fight, a lot of people are just mad at the draw, and it's taken away from the fact that both of them put on a great performance. Like Valentina used her wrestling and striking, and then Grasso used her counter strike and eventually landed that big shot that almost ended the fight.
She dropped Valentina bad.
Yeah, like they both showed their strengths, and it was like a really high level fight. So like that's why I'm also clamoring for the trilogy because It's not like they had a very shitty fight for the second one and it's sitting here like I don't want to watch it a third time. It's like no, that was a high level fight. Let me see the third time now.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to see one more. I'd be down. And then why Grasso got the edge. She got my dog Diego Lopez in her corner.
You do got Diego the Goat Lopez.
You know what I'm saying? They don't get no better than that. But yeah, this is interesting. I mean, shout out the UFC for throwing the Viva Noche card because they need us to do something for bro, you got all these Mexican champions at the time. Like, you better do something for their ass. I'm glad they made something shake. And it looked like a pretty good turnout, a pretty good card. A lot of stuff went down. A little bit of controversy, a little bit of robberies. And when it comes to the judging, all I can say is it's part of whatever the judge says is part of it. It's part of the game. It's part of the sport. Like there's
I've grown
bad
numb.
calls.
I've grown numb.
Yeah, there's bad. I mean, I'm still gonna get mad in certain situations. Like I just noticed that I'm not. I think Kai Car Francis Robert is probably the last one I'm gonna get just livid about. Like the rest, I'm just like, are you serious? But especially since I don't bet money too, so that's another thing. I think that helps the whole situation. Not betting any money because I know people be upset like watching their dogs get robbed.
But see, and the way people are upset, sometimes it works in your favor because I'll definitely sometimes pick a fighter to win, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there like he definitely like my fighter won one round, right? And I'm sitting there like he got beat up those other two rounds, but I'm sitting there with the judges like maybe like maybe my guy's gonna sneak somehow into a split decision win, and sometimes that shit does definitely help you out at the other end. So you win them and you lose them.
No, I respect it. I mean, that's how I felt watching Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. When Lomachenko was giving it to his ass that last round, and I was just those last couple rounds, and I was just like, "Ooh, I need y'all to bless me." Or like Aljo versus Cejudo, because I thought Aljo won the fight, but when it came to winning round by round, I was just like, Cejudo might have won 3 rounds. Like
Yeah.
so, and I just look at the judge like, "Woof," or like Max versus Bolt the second time. I might not have seen that, but I remember just hearing about it, like, "Woof." Raja boys gave Vogt the one.
Yeah, and there's definitely with the metrics and all that, but we're not judges. We won't ever be judges. Well, don't leave that
Facts.
to people that want it that don't know what the fuck they're watching to judge.
And fun fact, the worst judge ever, Chris Lee and Saudi Amato, they're like neck and neck when it comes to controversy. Is actually one of our own podcast hosts, Gator Boys. That's his high school teacher. His old high school teacher. Still teaches high school to this day because he said he's the guy that actually got him into UFC and MMA.
Oh, a little fun fact. You'd never know.
He actually did the Conor versus Khabib card, and I was like, that was a big deal.
Oh, oh shit. Well, we appreciate everyone staying around for the UFC Noche. Definitely was a fun card. It was fun to recap and fun to make the picks. As always, like and subscribe to the channel. Go down and talk your shit in the comment section. We always welcome that. And talk about your weekend with your picks and what y'all thought of the draw. As always, these were your hosts. I'm Paul Pick'em, Wyndham Contra, and I was joined with Kevin Waterboy, the street fight enthusiast Savoy. And if y'all didn't know, well, now y'all know, motherfuckers.